Sri Lanka on 211 for 5, which means that they are 114 runs behind England's first innings score of 325. They lost 7 for 64 today. You could argue, I'm going to put this to our panel here, it might have been England's poorest day of the summer. Let's hang it out there. 7 for 64. And then it wasn't their fault that they were reduced only to bowling spinners at the end there, but did they bowl them for too long? You know, they're going to come back tomorrow with better weather. We can talk about that. As De Silva and Mendes added 118, there was that really poor miss by Hull, the drop catch off De Silva when he had 23. He's 64. And Mendes, as we know, keeps going for strength to strength, 54 not out. So I'm going to start with that, shall we, Michael? If I just float that thought out there, that's not been a great day for England today.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't had many bad days this summer. They've won every game, and I still expect them to get over the line here. But it just felt a little bit like the end of term. And I watched them play this morning with the bat in hand. Very, very expansive. That's the way they play. But I kind of want to say, would you play like that against India and Australia? You wouldn't. And then when they came out and set the fields and they had all those slips, they didn't have a fine leg. It was almost as if they were setting a field. You know, when you used to play school cricket and you came up against a school that you just knew you were better than, and you used to have all the fielders in catching, it felt a little bit like that. They didn't bowl great, and then suddenly Ollie Stone produced a decent spell. They get a few wickets. And towards the back end, I like the fact that they tried off spin, but it became quite apparent quite quickly that it was too easy for Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka will be delighted from the start of the day's play, where they were a long, long way behind the game. They've had a great day. They've had a really good day. They've bowled a bit better this morning, held a few chances, dropped a goober early on. But then with the bat in hand, you know, I think they got so many scoring opportunities because of this field and this attacking nature of which England went for. So full credit to Sri Lanka. But yeah, I think you're right, Aggers. England haven't had a great day.
Yeah, and Russell's here. I mean, the reason I'm saying I'm looking at the England aspect of it was largely because of the way they batted today. I found that quite hard to comprehend, really. 221 for 3. You're looking at 400, aren't you? And it was the manner in which they got out, really, I think, which makes me think. But I mean, I'm taking nothing away from Sri Lanka, who will be delighted, I think, with their situation.
Yeah, they will be very, very happy. That's for sure. Like Michael said, I thought they bowled a lot better. The lines and lengths were so much better. They got the ball to move around. There was a few edges that could have easily gone onto the stumps once again, and you wonder how many of those were there. And hence, they deserved a bit of luck. And that came via England playing some poor shots. The decision-making in how they attacked, it was all about risk and trying to hit it to all paths. And we were really surprised that they added only 100 runs and lost those 7 wickets. But from Sri Lanka's point of view, just for the effort this morning, trying to pick themselves up, I thought they deserved a break, which came. And when it came to the batting, England again trying to attack, having far too many catches, gave away a few easy runs. But the spinners, I just felt they went on for too long. Yes, there's turn, there's bounce, but when they're scoring at 4.5 and just eating away at that lead, I just felt it was all right to get into a situation where the seamers can come back on and make use of the conditions.
Yeah. Alistair, what do you make of our assessment of England's day?
I feel they're a little bit complacent today. I think they just expected to turn up and continue the batting kind of at that rate they scored yesterday. I think Harry Brook was a good example. Like Sri Lanka bowled 7-2 pretty much to him, bowled in the channel, and he didn't like it. It was almost, he was moaning to the umpire, saying in jest, saying, "Oh, this is a bit boring. This is a bit boring." And then he went pretended to bat on 6th stump, and then over later slaps one to cover. Yes. So the tactic was a justifiable tactic by Sri Lanka. Stop him scoring, and he didn't score particularly quickly for his innings. And that was just a little bit of England, rather than finding out a method and dealing with the situation in front of you. You know, he was more about trying to kind of talk about it rather than actually deal with it. I think England today, they weren't great, and they're going to have to come back tomorrow. They're still in a healthy situation in the game, but at the beginning of the summer, this side were accused of letting good situations slip and allowing the opposition back in today. I thought they made a bit of an effort to try and nail the opposition down by keeping their scoring rate down a bit, playing a bit more control cricket. And today they kind of slipped back in the other way, and it's cost them a bit. I still think they'll win the game, but they should against a better side. If you're 200 for 3, you've got to nail the opposition down, and they haven't done that today.
I mean, when you're put into bat in the sort of conditions that they were put in yesterday, you're expecting caught behinds, first, second slip, LBW maybe, but nip backer. There's not a single one in that innings. There's not a single one. No one's caught in the cordon. They've basically all been out caught in the deep.
Yeah, look, it's this England's method of play, of being ultra aggressive, going towards the danger. If the ball's swinging around, the balls are going to pitch up. So, I guess in our time, you'd be trying to leave a few, trying to wear the opposition down. You try and make the ball a bit straighter. You might get one on your legs. You might have to bat for a couple of maidens just to try and get that opportunity. This England side go towards that swing. If the ball's swinging away, they're not thinking of leaving it, thinking, we know it's going to be full. Guess what we'll do? We'll dance down and try and launch it over extra cover. That's their method. Just be careful, Harry Brook. That's all I'll say to him. Just be careful. He's a brilliant player. He's got everything. He's as good as I've seen, and I'm going towards, Kevin Peterson style. He's an incredible player, but don't take the mick out of the game. Just be very, very calm. That's all I'll say to this England side today. There's cricketing gods up there, and in a year's time, there's tougher challenges. India, Australia, and things when you don't treat them as you should, you get you might be getting a bit of the rub of the green now. But when it really matters in the big 5-match series against the best teams in the world, you'll need a little bit of luck. At times, you'll need the right toss to go the right way. You'll need a ball to land in the right zone. You just need the VR, the DRS to work for you at special times. It won't work.
It was a bit worrying that. I mean,
it won't work. It's cricket. It's been happening forever. If you don't look after it when it's looking after you, there'll come a time where it'll bite you. And that's all I'll say to the England team today. Were you on it all day like you would be against an India and Australia? And if they look themselves in the mirror and say, yes, we were, I would say you're lying, because they weren't quite on it today.
Yes.
You have to change gears, which they're not doing.
We thought they had got back to changing gears, but this match has suggested that perhaps that was still lingering there a bit, maybe brought on by the fact they've won 5 tests this year, and there is that touch of complacency about it. But today, I would have thought this morning, it would have been a sort of just a hard work, get your head down, get the score, get 400, get them on the board, and off we go. I'd have thought that's the sort of traditional way of looking at it.
Well, it's a sense of actually how they have been playing this summer. They have gone down the gear, and it's more actually yesterday. They did score quickly, but there was the element of control a bit yesterday. They were helped by some poor bowling, but we had a bit from Ben Duckett, but everyone else, like Ollie Pope, just was scored what was in front of him.
Yeah.
Every time they bowled short and wide, he was good enough to punish him. He didn't have to go looking for runs. I think today they went looking for it. Everyone, how was it? Smith caught catching mid-wicket. So was Wokes. Pope on the boundary. There was just an element of carelessness today, and they haven't nailed the game down. And they could have, by today, if they had another good day, they could have, they could be so far ahead of this game that there's no way Sri Lanka. I don't think they're going to come back. And they'll still win this test match, but they've given Sri Lanka a sniff.
You hear from that dressing room all about this is where we play, is what we do it, and so on. I just wondered, the door's shut up there now. Do you think there might be come on, we went at our best here today?
I honestly have no clue about what the conversations will be in that dressing room. They're a team that surprised me, but they also delight me a lot in the way that they play, and I like the fact that they do things completely different. I like the fact that they've gone with a young quick bowler that, he's averaging over 70 with the ball in first-class cricket, but they see some. So I like what they're doing, but I sometimes watch them and think, just be very careful, because this game really does have a habit of biting you when you need it, and when you're so far ahead of the opposition, don't take the mick. Don't take the mickey out of the game and think you just, maybe just, they're good players, but don't think you can do things that no other player's ever done in the history of the game, like dance down to a way swinging ball and just whack it over mid-off whenever you want. The game tells you that's not going to happen. It's been a game that's been played for a long, long time. So all I say is just be very, very careful. They'll come back tomorrow, they'll be sharper, and I'm sure they'll nail it, and I'm sure they'll get back to that kind of intensity that we know and we've really enjoyed over the last couple of months in particular. But there's one or two things that I saw today, and I went, an opening bowler without a fine leg.
Yeah, it is slightly over.
That's exactly what I said. Tomorrow they've got to come back, and you're allowed bad days. You know, that's what happens in Test cricket. You don't. You're never perfect for the whole 5 days. It's just. But it felt today they kind of brought it too much on themselves. You know. But credit to Sri Lanka for hanging in there and not totally like this morning. It'd have been a tough day because they got criticised quite heavily yesterday. Actually, they come out. They might have been gifted a little bit to them, but they're there to take the chance.
If you've got 500 on the board, you can have as many slips. You can have no fine leg. You can have a short. You can have as many things as you want. That's funky and cool. But when you've only got 325, you know, it's not the right time. You have a number of catches, of course you do, but to look down and think, wait a minute, Chris Wokes, I know he's called the Wizard, but even he struggled.
Well, he
struggled to bowl with that field, and he is a very experienced pro. So, it was a bit odd, a bit different, and I guess this England side, we're used to seeing a little bit of difference and things that we've not seen before, but just a little bit of a warning sign for them today.
No greater leveller than on this ground in 1948 when Dol Bradman walked out and got a second ball duck in his last innings.
Yes.
It does, doesn't it?
We speak about him all the time, Aggers, don't you?
Yeah.
And as batters, as players, say, just don't take the mitt. There's a cricketing god up there that you need to protect, need to look after.
I'm just looking down at the far end because I can see Ollie Stone moving very smoothly towards Henry Moran. Henry.
Thank you very much indeed, Aggers. Ollie, your assessment of things at the end of that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was a tough day in the end. Probably the way they came back into it was obviously a bit, I wouldn't say disappointing, but would have liked to have gone the other way maybe if we'd have held on to our chance, and you never quite know. But no, I feel like we took the aggressive option, and we've always said that we want to do that, and I feel like the way we went about it as a unit was great. And on another day, we could have had them 6 down, and it would have been a very different story.
With the bat, 6 for 35 at the back end of the day, it tumbled away, or back end of the innings, it tumbled away quite dramatically. Was there any complacency in that batting?
I wouldn't say so. We've always said about taking the positive option, and when you're getting bounced as a tail ender, sometimes you can just sort of sit there and take a couple of blows and stuff. But actually, from the game, if you get a couple away, obviously I got lucky with my top edge that went to the boundary. If you get a few of them away, before you know it, the momentum shifts and you come out with the ball, and it can be very different. So I wouldn't say we fell away. We just took the positive option, and on another day it goes the other way, and we get a few more runs on the board.
Was there a sense at the innings break that maybe you'd left a few out there?
No, not at all. We felt like, with the way the wicket was, that was actually quite a lot on there, and it nipped around still when we had the ball in hand, and they played well and have got up to a decent score.
Chris Wokes and off spin, is that a combination that we're going to see much more of? It's been a funny old day, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it was a strange part in the game actually. I didn't really know what was going to happen, whether Wokesy could stop and someone else finish it, but no. We obviously wanted to stay out there, and we felt like there was wickets out there, so that was why Wokesy turned his arm to off spin. But yeah, I don't think that'll be happening again.
So talk us through what's happening out there in the middle when light issues are happening. It's so frustrating for spectators, everyone that wants to see cricket.
Yeah, it is, and unfortunately it got to a point where they said that Seam couldn't carry on, and we knew that our spinners could still get something out that wicket, and like I said, unfortunately the chance went down, but on a different day we take it, and you never know, you might add another couple onto the score. So yeah, we were always going to stay out there and take that positive option, because we feel like our spinners can do the job in any condition.
Couple of wickets, run out as well. How much are you enjoying it?
I'm loving it. I mean, I was gutted to miss my run-out opportunity at Lord's, so to get that one here was very nice. And yeah, it's just great to be back out there. I'm loving every minute of it, and just taking every ball as it comes. And thankfully, I'm getting a couple of wickets at the same time. So no, it's great, and I'm absolutely loving it.
We know Mark Wood won't be featuring for the rest of the year. I never want to see a teammate injured, but suddenly there are opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive shame for Woody, and we feel like we've got a great group of us bowlers to do it in any condition. So obviously Woody's situation means there may be another opportunity, but I feel like if I and everyone else goes out there and performs the way we know we can, then it'll be great for English cricket going forward.
Just finally, need to break this partnership.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can, or you would hope that the seamers will be able to bowl in the morning, and hope with still a shiny-ish ball that we can go out there and break this partnership, and before you know it, we'll have our pads on and we'll be batting again. So yeah, it's obviously they've played really well tonight, but we know if we get a couple of quick ones in the morning that we're in a great position.
Cheers, Ollie. Top man. Thank you.
Cheers.
Ollie Stone, thank you, Rush, indeed. Yes, that ball's 45 overs old. So, we saw the Sri Lankers swing it around towards the end of its life, so there might well be a little bit tomorrow. Interesting about the field, but Michael's gone now, Russell. But I must admit, I would feel that a seam bowler, I don't know you're not a spinner, but a seam bowler, swing bowler, is likely, I think, to be more effective bowling to a field of 3 slips and a gully, with a fine leg, with maybe a straightish mid-wicket and a mid-on. So in other words, you've got that sort of cover, than 5 slips and a gully and no fine leg, because it for a start, those fielders are unlikely to take a catch. But the impact that losing the fine leg and that other man on the leg side has on the line that you're bowling, I'd much rather see 3 slips and a gully in a sensible field because of the balance.
But what England will say is we picked up 5 for 93. Sri Lankan's middle order was blown away because of those fields. Matthews caught in the slips. The one bowled straighter to Chandimal. Even Pathum Nissanka scored very, very freely. He struck it really nicely. But they had them at 5 for 93. Yeah. You'd have to argue. But there's got to be a balance. Sometimes when the runs are leaking, batters become comfortable. Take Ollie Pope, for instance. Under pressure coming in, he gets a few runs and then he settles in and things start to flow. And that can happen with any player. So you don't want to fall into that zone. Yes, try it a bit, but start blocking those runs so that you're able to build some pressure and not let the game run away from you.
Yeah. I guess, there was 1 over before lunch, wasn't there? Line them up, that's fine. It's 1 over, it's all a bit random. The batsman's going to be a bit tentative and jittery. But then after lunch, business as usual.
It just felt like they overcomplicated today, in my opinion, at that time. Just sometimes it is boring, probably, but you got Chris Woakes, all you do is try and hit the top of off stump as many times as you can. His skills allow you have the fielders, okay, you might have 4 slips, but everything else is just a little bit steady, even a little bit towards Bashir, bowled at the end. He bowled to a very hard field to bowl to. He had a leg slip or a short leg, and then no one out on the leg side and a mid-wicket and a mid-on. So he couldn't bowl, this is to the left-hander, sorry, so he couldn't bowl that straight. Because, the perfect ball for an off-spinner to the left-hander is pitching on and around off-stump. If it doesn't turn, it brings LBW to play. If it does, it brings the outside into play. But if you get it slightly too straight, it's very easy to work on the onside. And he gave no protection, and I think sometimes, you can be sensible and steady and allow the conditions to the pitch. Sometimes a funky field when it's on really flat wickets, when you have to think outside the box. And I thought it stemmed a little bit from Lords, because they did it funky fields at Lords, but they were a long way ahead in the game. And it happened after lunch. They didn't bowl the fine leg all the time after lunch when they got the wickets. And I think they thought that was going to work again. Because they all say, oh, this is what we did and we took wickets and you loved it. Well, actually, it was a bit different today. And I think the flyer which Sri Lanka got, they were 40-odd very quickly, kind of dragged a little bit of that initiative back. Yes, they fought back quite well for 90 for 5, but then again, you can then defend a little bit with the field. And it's not a criticism of Ollie Pope, it's just what I saw. I think he's captained pretty well. I think you can be slightly more defensive at certain times. Certainly, the ball moves. He had one at the end. There was a field a bit better to Woakes. 4 slips, 7-2. Chris Woakes bowled lovely.
Yeah, my point was it's not necessarily defensive. It's actually going to make you bowl a bit better by having that.
Well, I definitely thought even Chris Woakes chased it today.
Yeah,
he came in opening bowling and he chased it. Very hard field to bowl at too. Yeah. But he tried, and I just thought just settle down, allow the condition to, and guess what? When they did, it probably worked better.
Yeah. Let's close with a thought too about Josh Hull then. He's had a mixed day. I mean, he's had his first knock. He got his first wicket and he's dropped his first catch. It was a... Where do we start? His batting's irrelevant. But with his bowling, how did you think he got on? He bowled 5 overs for 20-odd.
He was a bit different to what I thought it was going to be. I thought there was going to be a bit more raw pace and a bit more wayward, actually. He was actually had a lot more control than I thought. I thought he was the point of difference is his height, and I assumed he was a bit quicker. And maybe we'll see that. We won't know. He'll probably experience the first that he bowled a lot at lunch, whether that was the nerves, the anxiety, who knows. But actually, I thought the control. He had a lot more control than I thought, and just from that height, if you've got control, you're going to be difficult to play. The paces were a little bit down than all the talk we've had. Oh, we've got this quick bowler.
Yeah.
He was operating 83, 84 miles an hour, one at 87. Again, those speeds will increase, I believe, as he grows, like in terms of filling into his body. He's 20 years old, so in terms of man strength comes through. But I was impressed with, as I say, his control, good swing back into the right-hander. So okay, but the game of cricket doesn't let you have an easy ride, does it? That drop catch.
No, I mean that was just.
It is what it is,
Yeah.
And again, from a guy who's not done, I wouldn't know how much cricket he has played in front of lots of people.
Yeah. It's just nerves, isn't it? I mean, it's just being completely out of your comfort zone. And I thought he bowled okay, but Russell, what do you think? He's a very young lad.
He had a long spell at lunch as well, just to calm himself down. I thought he was impressive. I thought he'll only get better and get a bit more pace. He does offer something very different. So if you take England as a bowling unit, I think there are lots of positives because you want different types of bowlers. One who's tall, who can get extra bounce, one who can swing it around. And here you got a tall left-armer who'll add variation and allow you to attack in different ways. So, good start. Very impressive. Let's see how he reacts.